As if people have souls.
Oh, how they are around your dog?
Well, my dog is very good. He knows evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he would bark at you more, but he barked at you actually substantially less than most people.
Yeah, I'm an animal lover.
Oh, okay.
I had a very authentic experience on the way over here. I got in a cab because I took the L, except for some reason I thought you lived on 12th Street.
Yeah, I know. I was like, when you see you on the subway, I was like, how does this bitch know where I even live?
Because you told me that one time, but because I knew it was this neighborhood, but I didn't know it was. I should have taken the J train.
Oh, I don't even know where the J goes.
Anyway, all right, we're gonna start this episode over.
I didn't even know we were starting it. I mean, you could just edit it, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to talk for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
You talk for a couple minutes and you get comfortable.
I mean, I know you.
And then you cut it.
We've literally gone on dates.
We went on one date.
Yeah, that's one or two. I thought we went on two.
I think it was one.
I thought it was like two, like very separated.
Oh, maybe.
I can't remember.
I think that was the height of me being a real piece of shit, though.
No, I can vouch for that.
Not anymore.
Well, that's why I was interested. Now you repulse me.
Why? Because I'm like fake
too
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boring.
Right. So no, I did have like an authentic experience though. I got in a cab and it was like smelly, and that's a thing that people used to talk about a lot. Oh, it's fucking.
You've never been in a cab that was smelly?
No, but now like Ubers don't smell.
Some do.
Really?
They smell like sometimes when people eat in their Ubers. I've been ones that like smell like bologna.
Mm-hmm. I feel bad for Uber drivers. Like I feel bad for the desperation where they're like, "Hey, how's it going? You want some gum? You want some?"
Oh, I
you know,
don't.
What kind of music do you like? Yeah, but if they get like if they get 4 stars, they get like reprimanded or something. I feel like it must be very strict.
I mean, no one forced them to be an Uber driver though.
Well, yeah, but if you don't have other options.
This is not the conversation that I want to get into technically because it make me look bad. But I mean, like,
right, because you're like pro cap, you're like pro business now.
No, I actually talk to Uber drivers a lot, and like, you know, it's like I think it's actually Uber is great because a lot of the drivers have told me that it's the way, like, it's basically like how when they move to America, like it's made them be able to like spend more time with their family and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the thing. So it's like, yeah, you have to do a good job at your job. Mm-hmm. That's fair. Everyone has those standards. I wish more places had standards like Uber.
Yeah, being in a smelly cab just made me like nostalgic because they used to all stink.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can't rate a cab driver.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get pissed at cab drivers these days because it's like, yeah, they are upset, and I know the medallion is expensive, and that's your well-being, and obviously, I don't want these stories of cab drivers committing suicide are fucking horrific. However, and so then every now and again I'll use a regular cab, and literally 9 times out of 10 I'll regret it because they won't know the right way to go. They won't they'll refuse to use GPS, like all this kind of shit. It's like, okay, well, you know, unfortunately, businesses progress and you need to keep it's not unique to this business, to this industry. That's the problem. It's the same thing as comedians who still rely on like all race joke, like low level race or like hack stereotype jokes. It's like you have to progress.
It's like the equivalent of a comedian who's like, someday I'm going to be on the Tonight Show.
Yeah. Yeah. We all have to progress, and it's
system.
Inconvenient and requires more work from all of us. But that's every industry ever.
Now, speaking of the old standards of certain industries,
I love it.
I didn't realize this.
Good segue.
Until about a year ago.
Yeah.
But you could just rape women and get away with it. And still have a career.
To be quite honest, you can still kind of rape women and get away with it. You just can't rape too many.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where would you say like the cap is?
Well, I thought the cap was around 87, but then Harvey Weinstein was walking around town going to comedy shows, so
yeah,
I guess it's over that.
Yeah. If you guys haven't heard, there was a comedy show somewhere in, I guess, the East Village.
Yeah, I think it was around here. Yeah.
And Yeah, there was some event.
It was an Actors Hour event that was put together by a woman, which is fucking deplorable. And some colleagues of ours, including Amber Rollo, who is the one I would say I actually know in real life, were at this show. And Harvey Weinstein was just sitting at a table on the right to the right of him, a woman, to the left of him, a woman. And that's disgusting. That's disgusting to me.
Yeah. And then some girl who was there, who was an actress, got thrown out of the show.
Well, a couple of the women on the show, started being like, "Why is he here? I feel uncomfortable." As you should. He should not be. He should not be around women for the rest of his lifetime. And then you hear like men in the audience going like, "Shut the fuck up," and those people should also never be around women. I would love to voice trace who those fucking assholes are. Yeah, because I didn't, can't see them in the video, but I can hear that they're wearing fucking boat shoes with no socks. Like that's what's going on there, and I know that type of person. It's like, do you see The Joker?
No, not yet.
Okay, well, there's a scene.
Please don't spoil it for me.
I won't. There's a scene in the subway where there's an altercation in the subway, and it's exactly that type of fi-die business bro who thinks that they're fucking invincible and is actually just a piece of shit who can't keep his dick hard. That's who that was booing in the video.
That was bizarre because somebody that we know. I haven't met her, but this girl Kelly Bachman went on stage and she was like, "Oh, it's my job to address the elephant in the room. I didn't know we have to bring our own mace and rave whistle." And then they start booing her. Right. And somebody goes, "Shut up!" And I don't know if those guys were there with Weinstein or
it doesn't matter why they were there. They shouldn't be allowed out of the house anymore. I want trackers on them. That's disgusting. Because it wasn't just shut up. It was shut the fuck up in that way that any woman would recognize the tone of how they said that. Shut the fuck up. Stop being a pain in the ass. Stop with this feminism bullshit. It was all of that was said in that. And I think you know me to be like a quite a reasonable feminist. I'm not like a down with the patriarchy. I don't blame everything on men. I don't try to do art with period blood and yarn. You know. I think I'm quite reasonable, and that infuriated me. And honestly, I wish I was there because things 100% would have gotten violent. But the thing is, Harvey Weinstein walks around with his own personal, I don't know the word, guys to rough people up, security.
Yeah, that's one person who you would think out of all the people who have been, Me Too lately, that's the one guy who's like done, and I can't imagine. Well, yeah, I feel like.
I mean, I only use it. I say Me Too'd when it's like kind of like, oh, you didn't really deserve it. Yeah. Like I would say Aziz Ansari was Me Too'd. Harvey Weinstein's a serial rapist. Very different things. Like Me Too'd is when it's casual. Even Louis at this point, I forgive Louis. Okay, I forgive him. It's not enough. He's done enough damage. The guy has a face like that. All he can do is comedy. Let it go. Right. Harvey Weinstein's a disgusting monster who is not only raping but using manipulation and fear tactics, and as this podcast I'm sure will describe, organized crime tactics. I don't know who those people were in the video. I think she said that one of them was like the host of the show. But I'll tell you another thing. A lot of times on the show we spend time talking about rats, and from Kelly's Facebook post, it looked like she said like, "Oh, it's my job to address the elephant in the room." Right. And then she said the comic after her went up and they were like, "Oh, I go and address the elephant in the room. Is the producer of Good Will Hunting here? That's a great movie." And it's what? Really, yeah. Ew. Which kind of so like and we've all seen comics throw each other under the bus. Right. But that to me was like bizarre that you're that much of a fucking coward that you're gonna like kiss Harvey Weinstein's ass. It's not even a coward. It's like you're truly an example of someone who would sell their soul and the well-being and safety of your colleagues to make it in this business. Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of that. There is a lot of that. But the thing is, it's like also like, guys, you realize Harvey Weinstein can't make your career anymore. Right. Like he has, if you want to marry him and like become rich and fuck him, that's pretty much like, so like one chick could do it, but like if that comic was a male, like I don't know what he thinks he's getting out of it, because Harvey Weinstein is not producing movies anymore. Right. Like, and won't be. Right. I think that's quite clear.
I think that's quite clear too. But then, so why was he invited to this event? I mean, do you think that maybe people think that like, oh, in a few years this will like go away and he'll remember it? Like,
possibly. And I mean, from a female perspective, it actually makes sense that only women. Thinking about it now, it makes sense that only women would be around him because his wife left him pretty much immediately when all this shit went down.
Yeah.
So it's like he could still have some mistresses or get married again. And if your only concern in life is not having to work anymore and be rich, Harvey Weinstein could still do that for you.
Yeah.
So if it's just about wealth, yeah, he's still a wealthy man.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't take away all his wealth.
I'll tell you what's weird because OJ's on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, now. I follow OJ.
Yeah,
you gotta keep an eye. I'm a white woman. I gotta keep an eye on him.
You gotta keep an eye on him. But OJ, I mean, you could argue that like what Weinstein did is maybe worse than OJ because he ruined a lot more people's lives. I mean, at the end of the day, what did OJ really
I would
do?
I would actually absolutely agree with you that Harvey Weinstein is a worse person than O.J. Simpson.
But I'm saying, why does Harvey Weinstein have more friends than O.J.? That's like not
he's white.
Fair. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, because Harvey Weinstein is a dream. He can make your dreams come true. O.J. Simpson is just someone who is talented because anyone in the end, society loves the famous person, but anyone in the business, we love the producers and the things who make things happen because those are the people who can make our dreams come true and are really much more powerful than the celebrities.
Sure.
So Harvey Weinstein is much more powerful than O.J. Simpson in that he's made many people's careers. Exactly. Yeah, those people are way more powerful. We're just not obsessed with them because they're not the entertaining people. They're not the good-looking people. They're not the funny people. Yeah, but they're the powerful people.
Right.
And anyone in a room in Hollywood knows that.
Right. I mean, we'll get off this in a second, but I don't what's the line of thinking behind like we're gonna invite Harvey Weinstein to an event. I guess people really are that desperate, and I don't know. I think desperation. I mean, obviously a real lack. Immediately, maybe like I'm cool. I'm not gonna get my brain muddied by all this silly Me Too nonsense. Her name is Alexandra La Liberté, which is a very obnoxious name. I'm Alexandra La Liberté. I'm cool. I'm not like one of those stupid chicks. I hang out with rapists. Right.
Right.
It's like it's almost like a Sopranos-esque, like maybe like she sees that as like some kind of like redemption story or something. And listen, I get it to
a certain point because I kind of went to the recording that Legion of Skanks did with Milo for similar reasons, but that for me that was like I think he deserves. Or I think if you want to have anyone on your podcast, Harvey Weinstein included, you can have anyone you want on your podcast and hear their side of the story. But you have, because on a podcast, that's, that would be me and my co-host or that person and their co-host deciding to have that person on and have a conversation in a closed space. But to invite Harvey Weinstein to an event where there are especially female performers and to not at least give them the heads up to let them make their own decision. Yeah. That's an unsafe situation. And when you produce a show, you are 100% responsible for the safety of your performers.
Sure.
And so that's where that was the problem because truthfully, if Harvey Weinstein was doing podcasts, I would actually really love to sit down with Harvey Weinstein to really make sure he knows what a sack of shit he is. And because I don't think he does at all. The fact that he's going around to shows,
he's clearly not ashamed.
No, he's not ashamed.
Yeah,
he's not ashamed. He doesn't care. The only thing Harvey's mad about is that he got caught.
It is weird though because I did watch an interview with him earlier today, and it's just like he's like talking about movies, and he does seem like a sort of a humble, like unassuming guy.
I worked in the entertainment business for years, and I mean, had horror stories about him that were that did not involve sexuality, but like stories of him throwing staplers at his assistants, etc.
Okay, I heard I've heard that about other producers too.
Yeah.
What is it? They're just drunk with power.
Drunk with power, frustrated. I mean, I think so you're frustrated, you're overworked, things aren't going your way, you want to blame other people for your problems. Listen, I've wanted to throw a stapler at someone. The difference between me and Harvey Weinstein is that I didn't.
Yeah.
Because you have the wherewithal to stop yourself and go, I can't do this. There's no reason to do this. This is not going to make anything better. Sure. It's cruel. Someone could get hurt. Yeah.
But I mean, I did watch that interview, and he just sounds like a regular guy who likes movies.
You can like movies and also like making people go down on you.
Yeah. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that, like, if you did talk to him on your podcast, I wonder if he would have a way to, like, manipulate you or...
Oh, I'm sure he would try to.
Yeah.
He's been doing this for a really long time. And he... It's a real... I mean, I think the most interesting thing about the case is the power dynamics, and then also... what people will go through to make it in the entertainment business. I'm obsessed with the entertainment industry and how fucking psychotic it is.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like we have. I don't know of a ton of monsters in our industry. I think maybe comedians are a little bit harder to like push around. At least I like to think.
Oh, you mean like producer monsters? No, it's usually the comedians who are the monsters. The comics are the monsters. Yeah. Yeah. But you have to understand, comedy is also this very special industry, and it's one of my favorite things about it is that we kind of are our own producers. A stand-up comedian, it's one of the most solo things that you can do in the entertainment business. Is why I love it, because I'm in charge of my own failure or success to a certain extent. Yeah. And I think that's really cool.
But also doing comedy is very humbling, if you bomb. I don't think I have the confidence to harass anybody. Not anymore.
It's the juxtaposition between extreme narcissism and extreme humility as being a comic. Because, you're gonna eat shit from time to time, and you're gonna share a lot of like really disgusting facts about yourself probably, but you're also having people pay $20, $30, $40, $50 so that you can talk at them.
Right. Yeah, it's nice.
And if they talk back, they get yelled at or kicked out.
Yeah. You said something about Twitter about some people like defending Weinstein. Like, who was defending him and what were they saying?
When did I say that?
I think I saw...
I mean, probably. I know what you're talking
was
about.
Anybody? Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a really interesting following right now on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the angle would be. Like,
yeah, so half of it is, really young women who are very feminist and obviously very engaged with the Me Too movement and think it's very important, as I do. Although sometimes it's mishandled in the wrong hands, as is the case with Nicole Arbor. And then there's the other half of my following.
Oh yeah, she tried to ruin our good friend.
Our good friend.
She tried to ruin a good man.
Well, I never said that because I wanted my defense to have credibility. So, and then, my other half of the following is, a lot of guys who are either following me because they want to fuck or, there are some men who just follow me because they think I'm funny. And then, a lot of people from the Gas Digital programming and a lot of those guys. It wasn't coming from a place of like malice. It's truly a place of misunderstanding because men just really, I think that one of the most important things besides outing rapists that the Me Too movement did was it really showed us that men have absolutely no idea what it's like to walk around as a woman. And I'm including gay men in this. I'm not just one of those people. I was like, white men don't know. No, all men don't know, including gay men. Okay. I hang out with a lot of gay men.
Puerto Rican men.
Yeah, Puerto Rican men. Chinese men, black men, all the men. They don't have any idea what it's like to walk around in a woman's body.
They're busy selling frogs out of a bucket.
Even people who have felt like a woman on the inside and transitioned recently to female so that they are now presenting as female, even those people, and I've had really interesting discussions with some trans comedians about that because being raised and growing up and coming of age in the female body is a very, very unique and traumatic experience. And and the way your body is just treated as currency or an object, and it is not yours.
I mean, I have tits, so I guess
you probably have bigger boobs than me now.
I think they're about the same.
They're about the same
size. I think yours are bigger. But yeah.
Yeah, and so
that's the extent that I can.
And so what people were saying was like they were just like, well, everyone's he hasn't. He's out on bail. Everyone is, we live in America, and everyone is allowed to get, due process, and no one's guilty, and everyone's innocent until proven guilty. And I understand.
He's awaiting trial right now.
I believe so. I believe that's what's happening. And so I understand all of these things. And of course I understand, on a Schoolhouse Rock level, how the American judicial system works. However,
that would be fun, a Schoolhouse Rock video about how to
Schoolhouse Rockin'. Take out your cock. But
when you're accused of rape,
yeah. There's a certain point when it's like, okay, we don't. This person, of course, will have a trial, and I don't want to just be like locking people in cages. That's a really slippery slope to go down. But we don't need to wait to decide as a society how whether or not to treat this man like a monster. I think if it's not clear to you that this man is a monster and is not welcome in spaces with the public, then that to me is wild. He also should be on fucking house arrest. And the fact that he's not is only because he's rich.
Yeah. It's kind of the same thing with Trump getting booed at the baseball
Oh, I just saw
game.
that, yeah.
Yeah, and then people are getting on the news and they're like, hey, we shouldn't do this.
No,
but
I love it.
Right.
I love it. Yes, we should absolutely boo him. We should be doing more stuff like this. It's not about respect. I felt that way the day Trump got elected. I didn't want to protest him because I said, listen, people say really gnarly things to get elected, and that's fine. And I think that he is the president, and we should give him a chance to. I wanted to see what he was going to do.
Yeah.
We saw what he did, and it was not good.
Right.
So now we can boo.
Right away we saw. Yeah. We saw what happened. But no, but it is weird because I feel like I sort of do have faith in people that they can formulate their own opinions.
You do? I really don't.
Well, I just think that like people don't need to be lectured by, somebody like Joe Scarborough from MSNBC who's like, we shouldn't do this, guys. This isn't right. Like,
I mean, I don't know. He's allowed to voice that. We don't have to listen.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a culture kind of obsessed with tuning in to hear what other people think. That's that's why podcasts are popular. That's why, we have TV personalities and not just actors, because people really do care. And I think that truly stems from the fact that people don't know how they feel. I know a lot of people who don't know how they feel. And I think it's crazy, but... Yeah.
But it's this weird thing where it's like, I mean, you kind of do have to trust your instincts a little bit, and you do have to let people, like if people feel a certain way, I don't know, it's kind of like, it's kind of dumb to be that person who's like so logical that you can't let people have that,
So logical. You mean the MSNBC guy was so logical?
No, but all these people who like will come out and start talking about due process right away.
Right.
A
lot of them were just men who are so scared of the Me Too movement getting out of hand, and everyone's so scared of them getting Me Too'd. And listen, I understand to a certain extent, because I do know a couple people who were falsely accused of sexual assault, but they were also not people who were like acting amazing. So maybe maybe it's a good time to everyone step your motherfucking game up and be a little bit more respectful of people in your life.
Sure. So let's talk about this. I briefly looked at some of the a list of the victims and the allegations against Harvey Weinstein. We don't have to get too into detail about that.
I know every single one. I my friend wrote a timeline of it, and it took me 30 minutes to read out loud on Guys We Fucked. So I actually know everyone stemming from what is it? I believe it stems from 1979.
Oh, yeah? When he was like a baby?
When he was, he was.
That would be funny, though.
He was still not a baby.
4-year-old Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, my God. Baby Weinstein sucked the nanny's tata.
That is funny, though, right? He was a baby at some point.
Yeah. That makes me really sad, actually.
Baby Harvey.
Yeah, well, everyone was a baby once.
Yeah, but if you haven't read the allegations, I mean, it's pretty bad. There's a lot of stuff on there.
Rose McGowan's book alone is enough to turn you against Harvey Weinstein, which I read the whole thing.
You read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, and we're gonna get into that in a second, but the stuff that they put her through, I can't imagine.
Rose McGowan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone, everyone likes to make fun of Rose McGowan because she seems crazy. It's like, yeah, I wonder why she seems crazy.
I wonder why she seems crazy.
Can you imagine if you finally, after all these years, come out and talk about Harvey Weinstein force cunnilingus-ing you in a dirty hot tub at Sundance?
Yeah. It was a dirty hot tub.
I mean, I added the dirty part. It's dirty once Harvey Weinstein gets in there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that scene alone haunts me.
Mm-hmm. There's an actress, Annabella Sciorra. She was in Sopranos. And
Yeah.
I think allegedly, like, he drove her home and then, like, raped her inside her house.
Mm-hmm.
He forced oral sex on
Yep. Yeah,
Asia
that's his
Argento.
move, forcing oral sex.
Mm-hmm. What happened? He jerked off in a potted plant.
Yeah.
It's really bad, and there's like 87 women who have accused him of like everything from unwanted advances to like, asking for a massage.
He's a predator. Yeah.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I think the story that Ronan Farrow was gonna write, there was talk that like it was gonna this story was gonna come out in like 2016, and he actually hired this firm called Black Cube to it's a firm that hires Israeli intelligence, or it's started by members of Israeli intelligence, and he was actually referred to this firm by like the former Prime Minister of Israel.
Jesus Christ.
And so what they wanted to do was use their operatives to like collect dirt on the women who were accusing him and on the journalists who were going to like write stories about it. The company bills themselves as a company specializing in litigation affairs. They are good at asset tracing. So they're good at asset tracing, finding money, but also, I guess, private investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know any private investigators?
I don't know private. I mean, I had a death threat earlier this year, so I had a detective who specializes in terrorism assigned to my case.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a PI.
Yeah.
Because he worked for the NYPD.
Have you ever been tempted to hire somebody, or
no?
I mean, but you probably get a lot of hate on the internet, right?
Yeah, but none to the extent that I felt like I needed. If I was going to
But
hire a PI for anything, it would be to stalk an ex, 100%. But I have never felt. I mean, literally anything I would use a PI for would be petty bitch stuff.
Yeah. There's a comic that I know who had like a stalker. It's a guy, and he had to hire a private detective because he said it got like really intense, and the PI was like, now does this woman have any material that could compromise you, like any photos? And he was like, no. And the guy was like, you're the first male client that's ever said no.
Really?
Yeah, like she doesn't have a picture of his dick.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so they have people that are former Israeli intelligence agents, and it was just like there was this campaign or this effort to like follow these people around. They tailed Ronan Farrow. They followed Rose McGowan around. There was a point where like they had this agent who it was a female agent, and she posed as like a woman's rights activist, and she like got really close to Rose McGowan.
Jesus.
And asked her to like be a keynote speaker at this event. They asked her about Ronan Farrow, and they were also like, because I want to talk about this woman. They said something in the email where they were like, oh, Ronan Farrow could be great. He could be a real asset to us, even though he's got the family connection, which is kind of troubling.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes like bad people do that. They try to like sneak stuff in, or they try to like demean and denigrate people. And they kind of it's to like, I don't know, it's this effort to like erode what you think is the truth and to make you question sort of what's going on.
Oh, of course. Anytime you start questioning your reality, you feel like mentally ill, and that's when you're the most vulnerable and can be and malleable. Right.
Yeah, it's like, it's sad that they this lady posed as an activist, and and just infiltrated. And then so another thing that happened was like Ronan Farrow said that these guys were like following him. And then so it was these two investigators. One guy was from Russia, one guy was from Ukraine. And the guy from Ukraine like contacted Ronan Farrow. He was like, I need to meet you somewhere. Like I can't like we got to make sure we're not followed. And this guy was making like $35 an hour or something, because Black Cube, which is the Israeli company, they outsourced to this guy. So like Weinstein was probably paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Amazing. I love their tactics.
Yeah. And this guy was making like $35 an hour plus expenses to like just follow this guy around. But he like contacted Ronan Farrow, and he was like, listen, like they're following you, and I feel like what I'm doing is unethical. And I feel like
nice.
Yeah, and he was like, I feel like this is what people did in my old country. All the information was controlled by the people in power.
Wow.
And it made me question.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Ronan Farrow is an interesting guy.
Ronan Farrow is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. You said you read Rose McGowan's book.
Yeah. And because when you said that you had. Alfred, stop. When you said that you had information, or like this was about organized crime, and we were going to talk about people being followed.
Yeah.
I was in San Francisco right before Rose McGowan's book hit stores, and people knew it was coming. I have the same book editor and publisher as Rose McGowan. Me and Christina, the book that we wrote, same thing, and so. Our editor was placed on Harvey Weinstein's list as well, for even partaking in the book. So like she was on the list, Rose McGowan was on the list, and like she gave us the book a couple days before it came out, and she was like, it was like I had never been given something that I felt so scared to have, because she was like, you can't get caught with this book. Like she like went to her car, took it out of the trunk, and she was like, you can't get caught with this book. Like
wow.
I'm gonna give it to you, but like it is a huge thing. Like you could actually like be in danger if someone sees that you have this book, because people have been trying to get into it. So Harvey Weinstein like struck fear into people,
and kind of like that's all you have to do if you make people afraid for their lives or their
no
families'
one wants
lives.
To die to say, especially like the only thing that you would risk death for is death. So it's like that's the problem with rape. Like it's not. Especially if it's not happening to you, no one's going to go out on that limb to help people.
Right.
Unfortunately. Or out people.
Yeah. So you met her?
Rose McGowan.
Yeah.
I didn't meet her through that. I met her at a party long before any of this, because I've been a fan of her for ages. I'm a fan of her, from Jawbreaker and Dating Marilyn Manson and all that kind of stuff. And so I read the book. I didn't meet her, but yeah, we have the same publisher, read her book, and then she actually just followed me on Twitter recently, which makes me think that she must have found out about Guys We Fucked podcast.
Okay.
And actually when Harvey Weinstein... and we had talked a couple of times, because I got so excited when she followed me on Twitter, and I made a big thing about it, and we tweeted back and forth a couple times that day, and then last week when this Harvey Weinstein at the Actors Hour show came out, I tweeted her to make sure she saw it. And I don't know whether or not it was because of me or something else. I'm sure multiple people tweeted it to her, but she then started tweeting about Kelly and Amber and how it's so crazy, because she had already been going through her own bullshit that week with the continuing mess that is the Harvey Weinstein case.
Right. Yeah, another thing that was done was, let's see, where's the... okay, so in October of 2016, a writer named Ben Wallace got a call from a number he didn't recognize with a UK country code. This was... he was contacted. There was a woman named Anna, and she met up with him in some coffee shop in Soho. And he said that she was a blonde woman, high cheekbones, and she had an accent that he couldn't quite place. And she said that she had dirt on Harvey Weinstein. And she basically told the story where, like, she had an affair with Harvey Weinstein, and she was mad at him, and she, like, wanted revenge. And the guy said there was, like, something off about her. Hi, Alfred. Alfred is Corinne's butler, and he just jumped on my...
No, Alfred's my dog.
My lap.
He loves you. He's a big fan.
Thanks.
This is great.
Yeah. So it's it's weird. Like I'm kind of interested in sort of like connecting these dots and figuring out how they do this and how they discredit people. And it seems like what she did was she met this guy and she was like, she basically said that like she had an affair with Harvey Weinstein and she was mad and she like wanted revenge. And he said the guy thought there were sort of inconsistencies in her, you know, in the way she talked.
Well, I mean, like, you know, adultery, right, out of the gates discredits people, as we saw. I mean, even engaging in it, even if you are not the married party, like as we saw with most famously Monica Lewinsky.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like for some reason, you know, no one likes a cheater in society, but people especially don't like a female cheater,
right? Or a home wrecker. Or like,
yeah, people don't like that.
Yeah.
It's not good. And I mean, I have that bias to a certain extent. Not that you know that you should obviously not be getting like assaulted because of it, but it's not just against women. I mean, I don't trust cheaters in general. Mm-hmm. It does leak into, and this is, you know, something that I have to grapple with, but it's like it does leak into how I view them as like an honest or dishonest person. Like if someone cheated, yeah, obviously I'm not going to date them, but like it kind of almost makes me not even want to do business with them because I go, oh, this isn't a fair person.
Right.
So I think that's like definitely something in society. And then being a woman in general, like there's still this kind of like old school thing about like women in our wily ways and like, you know, using our sexuality as currency, which we do, but it's like because we've been given no other choice.
Yeah.
It's like we are. It would.
I'm sure if I had a big penis, I'd be using that. You know.
Well, I honestly, you know,
if I was over 6 feet.
If you're trying to equal the playing field, I almost think it's stupid as a woman not to use your sexuality in a certain way. And when I say use your sexuality, I don't mean fucking your way to the top.
Yeah.
I mean realizing the value and the power of feminine sexuality. Mm-hmm. You know?
Because y'all women, y'all pussy got a lot of power.
Oh my God.
It's my favorite thing.
That's so good.
I think I was doing that the other day. I was like, women got a lot of power. Because women got the pussy.
Yeah, I have the pussy. I make the rules. It's a Brooke
I have
Candy
the pussy.
song.
I make. It's what?
It's a Brooke Candy song. She's a pop star that I really like.
Oh, okay. My mom has it on a coffee mug.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say. I was like, wow, your mom's cool.
Yeah. No, she's got a her T-shirt that she wears to the beach. It says, "I have the."
Can you imagine?
I have the pussy. I make the rules.
Like the local swim club.
Yeah. So I guess what this woman did. So this woman that they talk about in the article was like she's from Bosnia, and then she moved to Israel when she was like in her early 20s, I think. She wanted to be an actress, but she couldn't find any work, so she started working for this company, Black Cube, and yeah, he needs a father in his life.
Oh, I know.
He needs I guess I could do it. I guess I could come by and be the man that you be the strong man that you need.
You stopped because I was taking a picture, as if I can't podcast and take a photo at the same time.
I'll mount your TV and
oh my God,
raise your dog.
So cute. You look terrible in the picture, but he looks adorable.
Why do I look terrible?
Well, because your posture.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
No,
I did moisturize today.
He was sitting in the queue.
Anyway,
your face looks fine.
Thanks. Come on, up.
Why are you yelling at him?
I'm not. Well, you got to be firm with dogs.
Aww.
You know. But it seems like what this person was trying to do with this particular journalist was sort of sell him a story that was not credible, right? And yeah. And he said that like the story like he said that like he didn't believe her.
Okay.
And I think a lot of times you do have to just trust your instincts.
Yeah, of course.
With this kind of stuff,
especially something like this. That's why anytime I hear, you know, obviously it's happened a couple times where someone in the comedy community, a female colleague of mine will say, "Oh, this person is like a predator," and I look into it before I just fucking go and announce it to the world.
Sure.
You know, because but I think that's where people don't understand the phrase "believe women." Believe women means when someone comes to you and says, "I was sexually assaulted," you don't, like, your first thing shouldn't be like, "Are you sure?" Or like,
right.
"What were you doing?" Your first response should be, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. How can I help you? Let's talk about it." But what it also is not, and how it is, and how Believe Me Women was like kind of mangled is it's also not if someone comes to you, no matter who they are, no matter what their reputation is, no matter if they are known to be a liar, etc., or even if they're not, even if they're known to be a good person, you don't just like yell it from the rooftops because it's a very serious thing and obviously could ruin people's lives. Like believe women means like on an emotional one-to-one level. Of course, everyone still deserves like a case, a court hearing. But Harvey Weinstein, when 87 women come, I mean, I think I think we know what's up.
Well, the weird thing too was like I was watching another YouTube video today, and there was like
these are all your resources.
I mean, I don't if you have any better ideas. But
break into Harvey Weinstein's house.
Do you know where he lives?
No, I'm sure we could find out. It was very common knowledge where Epstein was. Celebrities, it's very easy to find out where people live when they're famous, truly. We could figure it out.
Yeah. But so there were like, so here's what I want to talk about. So there were jokes in 30 Rock. What's the blonde girl's name? No, not Janet. Hold on a second. It's going to come to me. Jenna makes a joke where she's like, I don't worry about stuff. I've turned down sexual intercourse from Harvey Weinstein 3 times out of 5. And so it was kind of like, it was weird because it was kind of like this open secret forever.
Interesting. Yeah. And I mean, people like Ben Affleck. And I mean, certainly like with 30 Rock, we're dealing with Tina Fey there. And Tina Fey has kind of been known to be someone in Hollywood who tries to leak these open secrets.
She makes interns go down on her.
Yeah, because she also did the same thing with Cosby. She's, on record making Cosby jokes on Weekend Update. So, kudos to her, especially someone, I think, when you're a comedy star, now she's a big movie star, but at that time, I don't think she necessarily was. So it was a pretty ballsy move because, it's like we would all like to think that we would be the Rose McGowan. But even her, she kept it a secret for
a
years
long
and years
time,
and years.
right?
And we see the destruction that it does to your career and how you are perceived when you are the lone voice speaking out against these things. We all have brushed Rose McGowan as crazy, brushed her away as crazy. I didn't, but like I certainly see why people did. And there's videos of her shouting it. And anytime women get aggressive and stuff, it's like that's a crazy person, that's a hysterical person. And to the same thing happened with Corey Feldman. But do you think pedophilia.
That's part of the right? Do you think that's part of the plan though, where if they can like wear this person down, they wear down their and then people, it's easy to write that person off?
I mean,
as someone who's crazy.
Certainly part of it, yeah. Of course, you want the person who is the loudest to also appear crazy and look credible. Is that the correct word? Yeah. I mean, of course.
Because what this seems like is it seems like a very like detailed and intricate plan to like get these stories silenced.
Oh, 100%. I think once you know someone's coming for you, you say, I got to use all the same resources I used to initially, hide what I was doing. I'm going to use these same resources to hush these people because he's like, if you've hushed someone once before, chances are you'll be able to hush them again.
Yeah. There was a story in that article where like, I guess Ronan Farrow has a neighbor who looks like him. And they followed the neighbor for like 2 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But what do I want to say? Yeah, the whole thing of like, it is a very like orchestrated plan to like sort of stop this stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any coincidence that we now have both kind of written off both Rose McGowan and Corey Feldman as in quotes crazy. Anyone who speaks out about this kind of shit, we say crazy. The same thing. I mean, even now with the documentaries, that even now during the Me Too movement, when we know that this shit is happening, obviously all these people are not making it up. It's happening. Christine and I fucking knew it's been happening because we have an email inbox full of people going, I can't tell anyone else about this. No one believes me. My friends don't believe me. My family doesn't believe me. So I'm emailing 2 fucking unknown podcast hosts. It's like, of course, it's like, yeah, that's if that doesn't alert you that there's a problem in society, I don't know what does.
Sure.
And obviously I have a bias because I have a really it's not even a bias. I have a really special look into specifically sexual crimes because of the podcast that I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was quite clear, and you know, and what people often forget about sexual assault is that, and sexual crimes in general, is that these are powers of crime. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking of them as sex crimes, but they're really power crimes, though. Mm-hmm. And that's why, of course, you're going to be hushed and bullied and manipulated and made to look
You think
stupid.
maybe they get off on that aspect of it, too?
Of course,
just being able to, like...
I'm so powerful. Mm-hmm. I can force someone who doesn't want to have sex with me to fuck me, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Right, and then
How
I can
powerful.
pay...
Of course.
And then they can pay them off. And
yeah, and I can even understand that, even like coming from a kink perspective. You can't do it to real people, but that's why things like, you know, dominatrix.
That's why I get my balls stomped on twice a week.
Well, I mean, there's a woman named Sierra Lynch who has been on our podcast. She's been on Rogan, and she's a humiliatrix. It's literally people pay her to ignore them, you know, because it's like that gets them off. I can understand that.
She's like, Mike, you haven't been on TV in 3 years.
Yeah. You probably fucking like that, you creepo.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
What's her? I'll ask Deb to do it.
Hell yeah.
I'll be like,
I
can
see
you
Deb
humiliate
being
me?
into that.
Okay, here's the other thing too. Like when all this stuff is out there and it is like an open secret, it's like how come people don't? I guess people don't feel like it's their place because
they don't care. I think that's the bottom line. It's a big pain in the ass to take someone down.
Yeah.
Especially someone like that. And people don't care enough.
Okay.
People don't care enough about women's safety.
All right. So let me ask you this. So I heard something a couple days ago. I heard a rumor about someone. Mm-hmm. But like after hearing that, I don't know.
Like a rumor that they were a sexual predator?
That someone, was engaging in kind of shitty behavior.
Okay.
Like regularly.
I think I even know who you're talking about. Okay.
Okay. Oh, no, that guy. Everybody knows about that guy.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Go ahead.
This guy's like a more successful comic.
We'll talk about it off mic, okay?
All right. Can I say? I mean, I don't know.
You're editing this yourself. Go ahead.
All right, fine. I'm just saying. I just heard like
you can say allegedly. Say allegedly.
Allegedly, I heard that some person, right, will like take female features on the road and just book one hotel room.
Oh, that sounds like something that I've definitely heard. I don't know who you specifically are talking about, but that seems like that. Having worked in this industry for pretty much a decade at this point, comedically, and then since in entertainment since I was 17, 100%.
Right, but so the thing is like, and also like. If you really want to have sex with your openers, just get her own hotel room. I don't think that like helps.
Yeah, I mean,
you shouldn't try to have sex with your openers.
If someone
anyway.
is trying to fuck me and they book us one hotel room, I'm definitely not having sex with you. If you give me 2 hotel rooms, there's a chance I'll have sex with you if I'm attracted to you.
Right. Because every woman just wants their whole stuff. You know what's a better plan than getting one hotel room? Having a really great set and being nice. Mm-hmm. That's how you have sex. Well, this guy... Not a lot of great sets.
Not a lot of great sets?
Yeah. Not a very good comic.
Oh, this is the time of day when this girl comes home and sings as she checks her mail, and Alfred hates listening to her singing, so he growls.
Okay.
I agree.
Right,
Alfie, it's okay. Let her sing.
But I guess the thing is this, like okay, when you're just a person and you hear something like that, you hear what could be hearsay or a rumor, about people, it's like what do you do with that information?
You look into it
once
further.
You have it.
You look into it further if you give a shit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, at a certain point, you do have to cherry. Like, if you stopped and looked into it every time, and it's not even fair to expect that of people. Mm-hmm. Even with a lot of people were saying with like all these women who came out. Who are now famous actresses, people got mad at them. They said, why do they wait so long to say something? I go, just because something bad happens to you doesn't mean that you then have to become the poster child for that fucking cause. And it's really unfair to ask it of someone. And there always will be the 1 or 2 people who step up and make that their life's calling. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that you can say someone is like a bad person for not becoming the hero that we all dream of being, but most of us don't have the energy to be.
Right.
And so I have just specifically, it's like you have to almost like pick a lane as far as causes. So it's like just because of what I do in my podcast, I have picked sexual assault as a lane that I am in. So when I hear something about that, I think look into it a little bit more. But I also feel like I have the responsibility to look into it a little bit more because it's if you're gonna talk so much about sexual assault and speaking out, and then hear something and not do anything within your own community, I'm a fucking hypocrite. I'm part of the problem.
That's what I like about you, though. You speak out against sexual assault and comics who say slurs on their podcast. So I'm sure I'm sure I'll be calling you.
What do you mean
point.
speak again? Oh, I speak in defense of.
Because you're vocal about them.
Well, you know why? Yeah. It seems like they don't go together, but free speech and women's rights really go hand in hand, which is something I learned from a wonderful woman, Professor Nadine Strawson, who's the former president of the ACLU. ACLU is an organization I really love because they seem like a bunch of liberal hippie dippies, but actually they're really, really huge defenders of freedom of speech, including allowing the KKK to peacefully protest, which
Great.
I, as an American citizen and a Jew, 100% think you should be able to. I think that KKK, that's part of what. And America
also, I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day.
That's part of what being in America is. It's about being able to speak your beliefs and feel the way you want to feel, and that includes hate groups in quotes.
And also, I mean, do you like foreigners?
Yeah, some. Yeah. I like an equal. I think I like foreigners just as much as I like people who lived here. So not a lot of them, but some of them. But yeah, I mean that, and that's what that is. And so I think freedom of speech is so important, including in things like this Harvey Weinstein. In countries where freedom of speech does not exist, you can't speak out against authority figures. Yeah. So think of right now in a country where we have Harvey Weinstein and Donald Trump walking around. So it's not nice to say racial slurs sometimes, but if you take away freedom of speech, you also take away people's rights to speak out against these corrupt authority figures. Right. And then it gets wonky because people go, no, well, that's hate speech and that's different from free speech. And well, no, it's not, as the Constitution is written now. If you want to make a fucking addendum, then we can talk about it. If you want to ratify, I mean, come on.
Yeah. So but how do you feel about hate speech?
It's not a thing. It's a made up term. It's one of these made up phrases that the left has created that makes me furious, and I think really takes away credibility for a group that I used to very much identify with.
Nice. Do you think you'll be an old Republican as you
No, I've gone
make
rogue.
more money in this business?
If anything, I'd be like fucking a libertarian or something, like a fucking crazy thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no. Or maybe I'll just become Amish.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll go on backwards Rumspringa.
That would be cool.
I'm Amish, but I went on Rumspringa.
You just take your money and cut loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm trying to find more. I mean, I'm looking at my notes here with stuff about Black Cube, but
about what?
This company Black Cube. This Israeli company Black Cube that he used.
Oh, Black Cube.
I
thought you said Black Man. I was like, Mike, I was never black.
Black you. More information about Black
I'm
you.
Rachel
Yeah. Yeah. No, it just seems like it's
so wait, this article just came out, that the one that you texted to me?
I think so. It's like 3 parts. It's 3 parts written by Ronan Farrow, and yeah, it's basically like how he hired these people to like trail the accusers and trail journalists to sort of like dig up dirt on them so they wouldn't write these stories.
He meaning Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. Not he meaning Ronan Farrow.
Yeah. Okay. So the company was like, but there were like reports of like he met with there's some restaurant in Tribeca, I forget, but he met with like the top executives of Black Cube, and they were like, guess what? We got some information.
Yeah. Yeah.
They looked into people's like personal histories, their sexual histories, like anything to discredit, of course, the accusers, and anything to stop the journalists from writing the story.
That's even how insurance companies work. You when you go to court and you decide how much you get paid, in something like especially like a car accident where someone dies, you go and you try to knock against the person. So it's like I know someone through comedy whose sister died in a car accident. And Progressive Auto Insurance, had people go and try to make the money that they would owe her family less and less, and that was her insurance. So it's like her insurance is working against her because they want to pay the minimum amount.
Oh, so what were they doing? They were trying to.
So you go to court and then they go, well, was so and so wearing a seatbelt? Was so and so texting? And all these things, are discrediting financially, basically, the sum of money that your family will receive, even though that it was your insurance that you were paying to protect you, and you were dead.
Right.
That's crazy.
Because they're thinking about their bottom line. Yeah.
What?
They're thinking about their bottom line to maximize.
Of course. An insurance company's goal, you think, oh, it's to protect me. No, their insurance company's main goal is to give away as least amount of money as possible anytime something happens.
Right.
And that's why anytime, someone becomes a hazard, whether they're getting in a lot of car accidents or something, the more of a liability you become, the more money that you have to pay.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your thoughts about like the future of this business and these types of things? Do you think it's going to be harder for people to like engage in this kind of behavior in the next few years, or do you think they'll find ways to?
I think those there. I know that people who are still like the classics, who, if they're working in offices, especially with more older people, that they'll be able to get away with behavior like this because it's not the way, people 35 and up were raised. But I think it will be something that maybe this new generation just doesn't put up with as much. But I still think things stand true. It's like, hot guys can get away with a lot more. So I think if you're a hot guy,
we sure do.
Yeah. And you want to get away with more, you probably still, the world is probably still your oyster.
Yeah.
You have lots of clams available.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, Quentin Tarantino was friends with Weinstein forever, and
Quentin Tarantino is also a fucking dirtbag.
Is he?
Yeah, he's talked about a lot in Rose McGowan's book. He's disgusting towards her. He has a really known, again, as far as like inside secrets, he has a really known foot fetish.
Yeah,
and really has done some just really like.
Well,
slimy
have you ever
things.
looked at a woman's feet?
Yeah,
they're very beautiful.
You have a foot fetish too?
I don't have a foot fetish.
My feet used to be really perfect, but they, living in New York for so long, fucked them up a little bit. Mm-hmm. They're little though.
Yeah, no comment. But
Alfred growled.
Just the thing that's hot about feet is that like girls don't know that they're hot.
Yeah, no, we do.
So you just walk around with but sometimes you just walk around with your feet out.
Yeah,
you wouldn't do that with your tits.
But I know it's summer when someone cat calls me with want to lick them toes, which does happen every summer.
Does it?
It's toes out. That's my favorite. That's how I know that the seasons have changed.
Right.
Toes out. Gotta get those toes.
And now with climate change, it's always toe season.
Toe season year round.
Yeah.
I'll get my Christmas sandals.
But yeah, no, there was something funny that I read in this article where Tarantino was like, oh yeah, I knew he was doing it. I just thought about that classic, image of a boss chasing his secretary around a desk, and I didn't think it was a big deal.
Oh my god, what a fucking idiot!
That classic image.
Fucking idiot. And it is erotic in some ways, and it is a kink. It's like one of my favorite movies and one of the hottest movies of all time, in my opinion, is Secretary. Literally, Secretary to me is hotter than any porn I've ever watched. It's like a BDSM inspired movie starring Maggie Gyllenhaal. It's hot as fuck.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's like, he's fucking the shit out of his secretary Maggie. But there's a difference between kink and consensual adult play, and then using your authority and your power to make really vulnerable women who are desperate to have their dreams come true do disgusting things to your really fat, gross, pimply face.
Right. Well, we're going to wrap up in a second, but do you have any advice?
That was my outro. Corinne out.
Oh, so you don't
I was
can't
joking.
do the show anymore?
I'm joking.
Do you want me to leave your...
Go ahead. No, you're fine.
Alfred doesn't want me to leave, though.
Alfred loves you. He doesn't want you to leave.
Yeah, but do you have any advice Do you have any advice for the fellas? Because there's a lot of guys that listen to the show. They haven't had sex. They feel like they never will.
No, I was wondering who your demographic is.
There's a lot of incels. They're virgins,
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love you. Hey guys, at Philanthropy Gal, I do a lot of butt shots.
They just, follow Corinne.
Well, actually, I truly love talking to incel types because I think, one of the big mistakes that feminism and the Me Too movement, makes is, just kind of being like, shut up, men. And yes, shut up, men in many ways. As far as like, when we're talking about women's sexual assault, shut up, men. When we're talking about Harvey Weinstein.
Shut up for most of this show.
Yeah, when we're talking about Harvey Weinstein, please shut the fuck up. But I do want to have conversations because I think a lot of these problems could be alleviated if just men understood a little bit more what it's like to walk around as a woman.
Right.
With
it's not like
titties.
You don't want to get your holes stuffed.
We want to get our
you
holes
all do,
stuffed,
right?
But we want to get our holes stuffed by
the
people that we want our holes stuffed by, and we don't want to feel scared or like our vaginas, butts, or breasts are going to be touched in places that we don't want them to be touched in. So, and I mean, I think I love having conversations with kind of these non-traditional, these non-traditional feminists, people, because like people can be feminists without walking around and saying you're a feminist.
Right.
I also don't like male feminists. And by that, I mean people who proclaim to be feminists.
Yeah.
Yes. In your heart, I hope that you hold the ideals
that
of
you
feminism.
are, but it's embarrassing
It's embarrassing for everyone.
Right.
And I don't want to fuck you.
Right.
And I'm very open about that.
Being a male feminist is like saying that you wipe your ass. You're like, yeah, I just hope you do it.
Yeah. You're not going to brag about it. It's just
right.
exactly.
Imagine your Twitter bio being like, I wipe my ass.
Yeah, bragging about it is like disgusting, and it makes me not trust you. I don't trust anyone who is loud about being a male feminist.
Or how do you feel about guys who have sort of like made that their cause?
Oh, you can't trust them.
You can't trust them.
No, it's exactly those kind of people who who create a safe an environment that seems so safe that I can then touch your pee-pee without you asking.
Right, but I mean, at the same time, it's like you should be giving that time or that you should be letting women. Yeah,
let women speak. Yeah.
You should be giving them the platform instead of taking it for yourself.
Yeah, but it also needs it can be a conversation because women, us just giving you TED Talks also is not going to solve the problem. And I think I also think that we've almost made people feel ashamed to ask stupid questions or inappropriate questions or questions that could get them canceled. I want to hear those questions. Even if you ask a stupid question, talk to me about it.
Right.
Because there's also things that are really inappropriate that like stealthing that people don't know. Stealthing for you guys listening that haven't had sex is when you're fucking someone and and she thinks that you have a condom on your dick, and then somewhere during the sexual intercourse you remove the condom without telling her. That is sexual assault.
That's
and don't
assault, okay.
For a moment think it's not, but I think that people actually think that is acceptable behavior in some ways.
Yeah, that was my grandfather's move.
Yeah?
No.
Okay. I was like, I didn't even know grandfathers used condoms.
No, I don't think they did. R.I.P. to a real one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but no, there is this sort of weird like balancing act where it's like you don't want to be the guy who some girl is like, I don't have time to educate you.
Yeah.
So you do sort of walk.
I hate that saying, and I understand being irritated as a woman, as a person of color, as a minority of any type. I understand. Yes, it is not our job to educate
sometimes
people.
Sometimes people actually don't want to listen.
Yeah. I understand it's not our job to educate people, but I also think, well, if you want to see change, you better make it your fucking job to educate people, because who else is going to do it? Hey, Ruffenstein.
Well, I think your dog wants me out of here. So guys, Corinne actually has a very successful podcast. I don't know if you know this, but podcasts are very popular nowadays.
Oh my God. This is the best outro I've ever heard.
Podcasts are some of the most fastest growing audio entertainment on the market today, surpassing even radio. Did you know that?
I had an inkling.
Well, I want to give a shout out to a podcast that I really like. It's called Guys We Fuck.
You're a real one, Mike. Thanks, fam.
Yeah. There's a podcast. You should check it out. Please rate it on iTunes. Please follow their social media.
Guys We Fucked. It's on iTunes. Our new episodes are exclusive to Luminary, but you can listen to the back catalog for free on iTunes. If in your heart you're tired of bullshit, but are actually interested in learning about like what women think and feel, I highly recommend it. And not just because it's my own.
And
podcast.
I'll tell you this: it's a podcast, so you can't see these ladies.
Yeah.
But they are very hot.
Thank you. Well, Mike was on an episode of Guys We Fucked
5 years ago.
You can hear about you. Well, we don't repeat guests. You can hear.
You don't repeat guests.
There's only literally 2 guests we've ever repeated. Oh, okay. John Ronson, because I'm in love with him, and then John Campanelli.
Who's John Ronson?
He's my favorite author. He's the author of So You've Been Publicly Shamed, which is an incredible.
Oh, and he wrote the Psychopath Test too.
And the Psychopath Test.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
Did. Mm-hmm. And then John Campanelli, but that's just because first
I'm
time
full of
he was on.
surprises, huh?
What?
I'm full of surprises. I know books.
You know books. Who's horny? No, because the first time John was on, we hadn't had sex, and then we had sex. So
Campanelli?
Yeah. Oh, and James Mattern too actually was on twice, but the same thing happened. First time we hadn't had sex, and then we had sex, so he was.
So it was like an after. Yeah.
So you can fuck one of us. If we have a threesome, you, me, and Deb.
I'll casually bring it up at dinner tonight. See what she says.
Be like, listen, Deb, I need to do a successful. All right,
podcast. Deb, I gotta. Don't get mad, okay?
I'm not into threesomes, so you're gonna have to actually ask Christina with this one.
Oh, okay, that's her thing.
Yeah, she likes threesomes more than me.
Yeah, but it's not gonna. I'm
like
not her type. I'm not her type.
I also don't like women. She also isn't more interested in women than I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe she can fuck Deb, and I can make sure they have snacks. You know.
You get a little brajol.
Yeah. Yeah, a little cheese plate. Well, Corinne, thanks for being here. I always ask people if they have plugs, but you're doing great.
Well, I know you.
I'm really proud of you.
And then secondly, if
you could have me on, I used to be a piece of shit, and now I'm now I'm
you're
fake
boring.
nice. Yeah.
And now, and then I also have another podcast. If you're interested more in like Hollywood and conspiracies and Illuminati and stuff like that, it's called Two Less Lonely Girls that I do with Rosebud Baker.
Oh yeah, Rosebud Baker.
And I'm on all. My website is CorinneFisher.com, and I am on all social media at Philanthropy Gal. It's tongue in cheek. Don't get your panties in a bunch of.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Well, it literally used to be for when I was in like college, a philanthropy blog that I ran truly for philanthropy, and then I got a bunch of followers for philanthropy, and then when I started comedy, I was like, well, I'm not going to start from scratch. I have all these followers already. Nice. And so now it's tongue in cheek because I'm like, well, comedy is giving back when you're a narcissist. Mm-hmm. And at this point, it just annoys Alexis Guerrero so much that I will never change it.
Good.
Yeah.
And
also people
it's fun to make that guy mad.
People don't know how to spell my name right, and there's a lot of Corinne Fishers in the world because Fisher is such a popular last name.
Mm-hmm. Amy Fisher.
And then Amy Fisher, that's always a problem. Carrie Fisher. There's a lot of philanthropy gals. Just what I've annoyed people into knowing it, and so that's what I go by now. But anyway, I'm a fun follow, especially on Twitter. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Hey, guys, you enjoying the show? Why don't you head on over to Patreon and kick us a couple bucks, huh? Because really, it bugs me that there's women with podcasts who make more money than I do. So, why don't you go sign up? You guys can donate money. You can cancel anytime. People come and go all the time, and we really appreciate it. Thank you to our Patreon subscribers. And you can follow me, Recine Mike, on Instagram, sitdownpod@gmail.com. Sit Down Pod on Twitter. That's it for this week. We got to go. Bye-bye.